believed he was alone. The planet was quiet, too quiet. No wind, no birds. Only soft blue light coming from strange plants growing on the rocks. The human explorer slowly walked into a wide cave, his steps heavy, his breath uneven. His name was Ethan. He had crashed on this unknown moon only a few hours ago. His survival suit was damaged. A long tear ran across the chest plate. Oxygen was leaking. Warning lights blinked red again and again. Ethan knew one thing very clearly: if he did not fix it soon, he would die. He moved deeper into the cave, hoping it was safe. The cave walls glowed faintly, giving just enough light to see. Ethan sat down and carefully removed his helmet. He took a deep breath. The air was thin, but BRE8, Then he did something risky. He slowly removed the upper part of his suit. Cold air touched his bare skin. Pain shot through his body where metal had cut into his side during the crash. Blood was drying near the wound. He clenched his teeth but stayed quiet. He had learned long ago not to panic. What he did not know was this: he was not alone. High above him, hidden in small cracks in the cave walls, tiny alien women watched in complete silence. They were no taller than his hand. Their skin shimmered like glass, changing color with emotion. Their eyes were large and bright, filled with shock. A human. Alive. UNCLOTHED. That they had only seen humans in old records. Dangerous. Giants from a violent world. Creatures known for destruction and impossible survival. And now one sat in their sacred cave, wounded but breathing. One of them covered her mouth. He removed his armor, she whispered. Is he weak? Another asked. No, a third replied softly. That makes him more dangerous. Ethan cleaned his wound with shaking hands. He did not see the glowing eyes watching every move. He did not hear the soft clicking sounds they used to speak. The tiny alien women were hunters. To them, living beings gave off energy. Humans were said to carry rare power, strong enough to feed an entire colony. Many believed it was only a myth. Humans were almost impossible to find. Until now. He is real, one said in fear. And he is hurt, another added, her voice trembling, not with pity, but hunger. Below them, Ethan stood up. He tested his strength. Even injured, his body felt strong. Years of survival training had shaped him. He took a deep breath and looked around. Something felt wrong. The cave was too still. The light seemed to move. He reached for his broken suit. Then froze. A small sound echoed. Click. Ethan turned sharply. Nothing. But his heart started beating faster. He trusted his instincts more than his eyes. He slowly backed away, searching for his weapon. It was gone, lost in the crash. Above him, panic spread among the tiny aliens. He senses us. He is awake to danger. We should act now. One of them, different from the rest, watched him closely. Her colors shifted to calm blue instead of red hunger. She felt something strange, curiosity. He is bleeding, she said quietly. Yet he does not cry. He does not beg. Ethan took another step back. Then it happened. Thin glowing threads shot out from the shadows, wrapping around his arms and legs. He shouted as he fell to the ground. The threads burned cold, tightening fast. Damn it! He yelled, struggling with all his strength. The tiny alien women revealed themselves, floating down slowly. Ethan's eyes widened in shock. They were small. Too small. But their eyes held no weakness. He is strong, one said nervously as he strained against the bindings. Stronger than expected, another replied. Ethan growled and pushed harder. The ground beneath him cracked slightly. Silence filled the cave. Fear replaced hunger. One of the aliens whispered the truth they all felt. He is not prey. High above, a distant signal activated, an ancient alarm meant only for legends. The human encounter had begun, and nothing in their world would ever be the same. Ethan struggled. But the glowing threads held him tight. They were thin, delicate, yet stronger than steel. No matter how hard he pushed, they would not break. Above him, the tiny alien women hovered, their small bodies glowing softly. They whispered among themselves, their voices like wind chimes. "We cannot eat him now," said one. "He is too powerful. He may destroy us," another replied. Ethan's heart pounded. He could feel the alien energy surrounding him. He had encountered dangerous creatures before, but nothing like this. Tiny hands, yet deadly precision. Their small size fooled most, but their intelligence made them lethal. One of them, slightly larger than the others, floated closer. Her color was a soft green, signaling calm and caution. She reached out with delicate fingers and touched Ethan's arm, not to harm, but to scan. A strange energy flowed between them. Ethan felt it prickling his skin. His muscles tensed. He did not know what they were doing, but instinct told him to remain still. "They are reading him," whispered another tiny alien. "This is not just strength. He is unusual. Stronger than any human records," said a third. Ethan realized they were not only hunters, they were scientists. And he was their test subject. The larger alien, whom Ethan would later call Lyra, floated closer. "Do not hurt him," she commanded softly. Her voice carried authority. The others hesitated, their glowing bodies flickering nervously. Ethan looked at her. Her eyes were enormous for her tiny face, filled with intelligence and caution. He did not understand her words, but somehow he felt her meaning. Meanwhile, the other aliens argued. "Feed him. He is a source of energy." "No, study him. He could destroy our colony if we are careless." Ethan's mind raced. He had to escape, but breaking free from these glowing threads seemed impossible. He tried again and again, but each struggle made the threads tighten. Suddenly, the cave shook slightly. Ethan stumbled but did not fall. The aliens hovered closer, their tiny bodies moving in perfect synchronization. Every gesture precise, calculated. They fear humans, Ethan thought. They know humans are dangerous. Lyra floated to his side, her small hand reaching out. "We only want to understand," she said gently. Somehow he understood. A strange connection sparked between them, one human, one alien, two species separated by worlds, yet communicating silently. Ethan realized something critical. They were not mindless predators. They were thinking beings, capable of strategy and intelligence. And if he wanted to survive, he had to outthink them, not overpower them. The other aliens grew restless. "We must test him," one insisted. "Yes, before he harms us." Lyra shook her head. "Patience," she said. "He is human. Stronger than we expect, but not without reason. Let us observe." Ethan's curiosity sparked as well. These tiny creatures, fragile in size, seemed to wield the kind of power and intellect that could rival even the largest predators he had faced on other planets. A sudden click echoed in the cave, louder than before. The other aliens paused. Lyra's eyes flicked to the shadows. "The queen is watching," she whispered. Ethan did not know what a queen was in this context, but her tone carried fear and respect. Then, without warning, the queen's presence became tangible. A shadow moved across the cave ceiling. The threads around Ethan vibrated slightly, and he felt an invisible pressure push him down, forcing him to kneel. The tiny alien women stepped back, bowing in unison. Lyra hovered close to Ethan's face. "Whatever happens next," she said quietly, "you must survive. Humans are feared, even by us." Ethan's pulse quickened. He realized he was no longer just a stranded explorer. He was a subject in an alien world where size did not matter. Intelligence ruled, and humans were both prey and legend. The queen's presence lingered, unseen but unmistakable. And in that moment, Ethan knew one truth. Survival would require every ounce of strength, skill, and wit he possessed. Above all, he understood this. He was being watched by more than eyes. He was being measured, tested, and possibly feared. And the tiny hunters were only the beginning. The cave fell silent, the threads holding him tight, and Ethan realized the real danger had just begun. The cave was quiet, but tension filled the air. Ethan stayed on his knees, still bound by glowing threads. His muscles ached, but he could feel his strength returning slowly. The tiny alien women circled him, their glowing bodies flickering like fireflies. One of them, the slightly larger one, Lyra, floated closer. She reached out and touched his forehead. A strange hum ran through Ethan's head. It was not painful, but it made his thoughts clear, almost as if he could hear theirs. "You are unusual," Lyra whispered. Somehow, Ethan understood that the other tiny aliens whispered in rapid clicks. Ethan could not understand their words, but the tone was urgent. Fear, respect, fascination. A small device floated from the shadows. It scanned Ethan quickly, sending lines of glowing data into the air. The aliens watched it carefully. Ethan could feel the scan measuring everything: his heartbeat, his energy, his DNA, his strength. "The humans?" Lyra said softly. "They should not exist." Ethan frowned. The words did not make sense. Why? He thought. Somehow he knew she was answering without speaking. The scan revealed a truth he had never imagined. Humans carried an energy the aliens had never seen. It was raw, dangerous, and unpredictable. Their small devices could barely contain the readings. One of the tiny aliens gasped. "If a human enters the galaxy," she whispered, "the balance will break." Ethan's mind raced. He had always known humans were strong, resilient, survivors of harsh worlds. But he had never imagined that his very existence could terrify an entire species. "They fight like nothing else," another alien said. "They survive the impossible. They endure pain we cannot imagine." Ethan clenched his fists. He had learned to endure, yes, but he had never thought of it as terrifying to others. To these tiny creatures he was a force of nature. A sudden noise echoed in the cave. Ethan stiffened. The aliens froze too, their small bodies glowing brighter in alarm. A vibration ran through the ground. Lyra hovered closer. "They are coming," she said quietly. "The hunters. They have detected your energy. They will come for you." Ethan's heart pounded. He realized something important. If these tiny aliens feared him, and even the hunters were aware of his presence, then he was not just alone, he was dangerous to the galaxy without even trying. The other tiny aliens began arguing again. "Study him before they arrive," one shouted. "No," Lyra said sharply. "We cannot provoke him. Let us understand him first." Ethan's eyes scanned the glowing cave walls. He had to find a way out, but he could not risk fighting yet. He had to survive and understand them before making any move. Lyra studied him closely. "Your body, it is stronger than any prey we have ever seen. Your heart beats with power. Your mind, it adapts too quickly. You are not just human. You are a weapon." Ethan swallowed hard. The words made his skin prickle. Humans were resilient, yes, but he had never thought of himself as a weapon. And yet, in this alien world, even being himself made him a threat. The scan stopped. Lines of glowing light disappeared. The aliens stepped back, their tiny forms still tense and alert. Lyra's color shifted from calm green to deep blue, signaling caution mixed with curiosity. "You must survive," she whispered, almost as if repeating to herself. "If you die, the galaxy may fall into chaos. Humans, they are feared for a reason." Ethan realized the truth. The tiny alien women were not trying to kill him out of hunger anymore. They feared him, yes, but they also recognized something extraordinary. They saw potential in humans that even humans could not imagine. Suddenly, the cave shook violently. Rocks fell from above. The aliens hissed in alarm. Lyra grabbed Ethan's arm. "We must prepare," she said urgently. "They are coming faster than we expected." Ethan's pulse quickened. He could feel it too, the presence of hunters, something larger, something stronger, drawn to his energy. For the first time he understood the danger and the power he carried within him. He was human. Alone on a distant moon. Surrounded by tiny, intelligent hunters. And terrifying enough to make the galaxy itself take notice. The threads binding him glowed brighter, almost as if sensing the approaching threat. Ethan knew one thing clearly. Survival would mean more than strength. It would mean using every skill, every instinct, every ounce of cunning he had, and the galaxy was about to find out why humans should never be underestimated. The cave was silent, but the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Ethan's arms and legs remained bound by the glowing threads. The tiny alien women hovered around him, their eyes bright with anticipation. He could feel their energy sharp, nervous, hungry, but there was something else this time. Fear. "They will begin the ritual," whispered one of the smaller aliens. Ethan did not know what that meant. His survival instincts screamed at him to fight, but he was restrained. He could barely move. The threads burned slightly where they touched, reminding him that escape would not be simple. The largest alien, Lyra, floated close again. Her glow was calm, but her eyes betrayed concern. She glanced at the others. "We cannot hurt him." "But the ritual must proceed," she said suddenly. The Queen's presence filled the cave. Ethan could feel it before he saw her. A subtle vibration in the air, like the echo of a powerful heartbeat. The Queen was enormous, though she remained hidden in shadows. Her body shimmering faintly. The tiny aliens began arranging glowing crystals in a circle. Beneath Ethan, lines of energy traced patterns on the cave floor, pulsing with anticipation. Ethan noticed how careful they were, how precise. He had seen rituals in other worlds, but nothing like this. Then the energy touched him. A surge ran through his body. It was meant to weaken him, to drain life force for the aliens to consume. But Ethan's human physiology reacted differently. His body absorbed the energy, not as a threat, but as fuel. His veins glowed faintly. His muscles twitched with sudden power. The tiny aliens gasped. Some stumbled backward, their small bodies flickering with panic. "It's too strong." One cried. "It's killing us." Ethan's instincts took over. He could feel the threads trying to control him, but he focused every ounce of strength he had. A sudden jerk, a twist, and a thread snapped. Another thread burned out. Sparks flew where the glowing bindings touched the cave floor. The cave began to tremble. Rocks cracked and fell from above. The aliens shrieked in alarm, their small forms darting away to avoid falling debris. Ethan's heart pounded not from fear, but from controlled rage. Then instinctively, he acted. He saw a small alien trapped under a fallen rock. Without thinking, he reached out, lifted the debris, and gently set the creature free. Its tiny eyes met his, wide with shock and gratitude. "Why are you helping us?" Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. Ethan shrugged. "Because I can," he replied simply. The Queen's presence loomed even stronger now. The cave's vibrations grew intense. The other aliens froze in place, realizing their ritual had failed spectacularly. What they thought would feed them, control them, or end in their victory had turned into chaos. Ethan rose slowly, muscles rippling with the energy he had absorbed. He towered over the tiny hunters, not just physically, but with a presence that radiated power. The threads that bound him could no longer hold. One by one, they dissolved under his force. "Stop!" Lyra shouted, hovering in front of him. Do not destroy us." Ethan paused. His breathing was heavy. He could have destroyed them in an instant, but something in their small, fragile bodies reminded him that he was not a mindless killer. He had survived the impossible, and yet he still chose control. The other aliens whispered, their glowing forms flickering with fear and awe. They had underestimated humans. They thought humans were prey. They were wrong. Humans were predators, but not mindless. Humans were intelligent, adaptable, and above all, unpredictable. The cave fell silent once more. Rocks lay scattered. Glowing threads smoldered in the corners. And Ethan, breathing heavily, stood amidst the tiny aliens, a living example of what humans truly were. Lyra floated closer, her glow softening. You saved one of us," she said quietly. "Perhaps humans are not only strong. Perhaps humans are different." Ethan looked around. He did not speak. Actions had always been more powerful than words. He had survived a deadly ritual, faced what should have destroyed him, and come out stronger. The tiny alien women looked at him in awe, fear, and confusion. For the first time, they were not sure whether to fight him, study him, or flee. And high above, unseen, the queen observed in silence, her glowing eyes reflecting both caution and respect. Ethan realized something critical. Survival was not just about strength. In this galaxy, survival was about adaptability, intelligence, and sometimes mercy. And the tiny hunters had just learned a dangerous lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. The cave was quiet now, but the tension lingered like smoke. Ethan's chest rose and fell rapidly, his muscles still humming with energy from the failed ritual. He stood among the tiny alien women, their glowing bodies flickering nervously. They had expected a meal, a victory, a simple prey, and instead, they found a force they could barely comprehend. Most of the tiny aliens were frozen in fear. Their glowing skin shifted from red to orange to yellow in quick bursts, signaling panic, confusion, and fear. Yet one of them, the slightly larger one, Lyra, remained calm. Her color was a soft, steady green, and her eyes large, luminous. Intelligence studied Ethan carefully. Lyra hovered closer to him. "Stop," she said softly, though the others didn't understand. Her tone carried authority beyond her size. "Do not harm them," she told Ethan silently. Somehow he understood. Ethan looked down at the tiny creature before him. He did not know why she commanded his attention, or why her words, though unspoken, reached his mind. He only knew that her presence was different from the others. She radiated intelligence, not fear. Curiosity, not hunger. The other aliens whispered angrily among themselves. "Why do you protect him?" One demanded. "He is dangerous. He could destroy us all." Lyra turned her glowing body to face them. "We must not act out of fear. Humans, they are unpredictable. Mercy may be the only way to survive this." Ethan raised an eyebrow. Mercy. That was something humans valued, yes, but could an alien understand it? Yet Lyra's calmness suggested she did. She saw what the others could not. Humans were not only strong, they were capable of choice. A sudden sound interrupted them. The cave trembled. Dust and small stones fell from the ceiling. Ethan's heightened senses detected it before his eyes could. Something large was approaching the cave. Something far more dangerous than the tiny hunters. Panic spread among the small aliens again. Their glowing bodies flickered in red bursts. They screamed, clicking and hissing in fear. Ethan's heart raced. He realized the queen was not the only threat. A predator, or perhaps a whole group, was heading their way. Drawn by his energy, Lyra moved quickly between him and the others. Her glow intensified. "You must protect them," she whispered to Ethan silently. "If you do not, all will die." Ethan looked at her, then at the panicked, tiny aliens around him. He understood immediately. They had caused the chaos, yes, but now they were vulnerable. And though he could strike and dominate them easily, he chose restraint. With a careful motion, he lifted a fallen rock that had pinned one of the smallest aliens. Her tiny body trembled as he gently set her free. Another alien tried to flee and stumbled. Ethan extended a hand and steadied her. Each act of mercy did not go unnoticed that the tiny aliens began whispering among themselves again. Their fear remained, but confusion mixed in. Some glowed with soft green light, signaling curiosity and a budding understanding. Lyra hovered above them, her glow serene, her eyes fixed on Ethan. "You saved them," she whispered again. "Few humans, even when threatened, choose mercy. This is why your kind is feared and respected." Ethan's chest tightened. He realized that power alone was not what made humans dangerous in the galaxy. It was strength combined with choice, intelligence, and morality. Suddenly, the cave shook violently. A shadow passed across the walls, enormous and terrifying. Ethan could sense it, a predator far larger than anything on this moon. The tiny alien screamed again, panic flaring. But Lyra stayed calm. She moved between the approaching threat and the smaller aliens, signaling them to stay hidden. Her trust in Ethan was clear. She believed he could defend them all. Ethan did not hesitate. Though his energy surged from the earlier ritual, he did not attack the tiny aliens. Instead, he positioned himself between them and the unknown danger. Every movement was careful, calculated, and powerful. The tiny aliens watched in awe and fear. They had intended to feed on him moments ago, yet now he stood as their protector. Their tiny hands trembled, but their minds were racing, trying to understand what they had just witnessed. And high above, unseen, the queen observed silently. Her glowing eyes reflected both caution and an unfamiliar respect. A human who could resist killing, yet wield unimaginable power. This was unprecedented. Ethan understood one thing clearly. Survival was no longer just about himself. It was about the choices he made and mercy, even toward those who had tried to harm him, could tip the balance between life and death. The tiny hunters, once ready to devour him, were now staring at him in a mixture of awe, fear, and disbelief. Humans. They were more than what the galaxy feared. Humans were capable of change, restraint, and unexpected power. And the legend of Ethan, the human who chose mercy in the face of overwhelming danger, had only just begun. The cave had fallen silent after the chaos of the ritual. But the tension lingered, thick and electric. Ethan stood among the tiny alien women, their glowing forms shifting nervously. Some were still pale with fear, others flickered in amazement. Lyra hovered close, her green glow steady, as if she alone had faith in him. Suddenly, a low hum echoed through the cave. The walls vibrated with a strange resonance, and the shadows stretched unnaturally. Ethan's heart quickened. He sensed a presence, far larger and more powerful than the tiny aliens surrounding him. "They are coming," Lyra whispered. "The Council. The ones who judge all beings in this colony." Ethan frowned. Judge? He realized that this world had rules he did not yet understand. Strength alone would not save him. He had to prove something: intelligence, restraint, adaptability. From the shadows emerged the Council. Unlike the tiny hunters, these aliens were slightly larger, their bodies glowing in shades of deep blue and violet. Their eyes were vast, filled with a sharp intelligence that made Ethan instinctively lower his gaze. "You are a human," one of them said, in a voice that resonated through his mind rather than his ears. Ethan understood it perfectly. "Yes," he replied cautiously. "Ethan." The Council examined him with precision. Lines of glowing symbols appeared in the air, scanning him as the tiny aliens had before, but this time, faster, more detailed. Ethan could feel every measurement, every calculation. The Council debated in clicks, whistles, and hums he could just barely perceive. "You are dangerous," one council member finally said. "Stronger than any of our hunters. Adaptive beyond prediction. Yet, you show mercy. This combination is unusual." Ethan's muscles tensed, ready for any attack. But the council did not move toward him. Instead, they created a glowing circle around him, a trial arena. "You will be tested," another member announced. "Strength, intelligence, restraint. Fail, and the galaxy may lose balance. Succeed, and perhaps we learn why humans are feared." Ethan swallowed. The stakes were higher than he had ever faced. This was not about survival anymore. This was about proving to an entire alien species that humans were more than just physical power. The trial began. The council projected scenarios in the air, simulations of deadly predators, collapsing caverns, sudden attacks. Each required split-second decisions. Ethan reacted instinctively, moving with precision, saving both himself and the tiny aliens caught in the simulated dangers. The council watched silently, their glowing eyes flicking rapidly. Ethan noticed Lyra hovering nearby, her glow steady, watching him closely. She did not intervene. She trusted him. The simulations grew harder. Aliens designed traps that tested not only his strength, but his morals. One scenario forced him to choose between saving a tiny alien or defeating a predator that could harm them all. He hesitated only briefly, then acted, saving the vulnerable alien while cleverly neutralizing the threat. The council murmured among themselves, the glowing symbols above their heads forming complex patterns. They had not expected such cunning from a human. Strength without intelligence could destroy, but strength with intelligence, that was unprecedented. "You endure pain without complaint," one council member observed. "You adapt faster than our models predict. You show mercy where it is not required. This is why humans are feared. Not only for what they can do, but for what they choose to do." Ethan felt a strange mix of relief and apprehension. He had passed tests he did not fully understand, yet he could feel the council's attention weighing on him. Their judgment would decide his fate, and perhaps the fate of the tiny alien colony. Finally, the council spoke in unison. Their combined glow bathed the cave in brilliant light. "Human, you have proven yourself. Your kind is more than legend. You survive where others fail. You act where others destroy. And you show restraint where others would not." The tiny aliens gasped. Some glowed softly, relief spreading across their small forms. Lyra's green light deepened, almost glowing with pride. She hovered beside Ethan and whispered, "You are worthy." Ethan nodded slowly. He did not know what worthy meant in their context, but he understood it was approval, respect, and perhaps trust. The council faded into shadows, leaving the tiny aliens and Ethan alone once more. But he knew this trial was only the beginning. The galaxy was watching. And humans, he realized, were more powerful and unpredictable than anyone could have imagined. The cave fell silent again, but this silence was different. It carried understanding, respect, and a hint of fear. Ethan's journey was far from over. But he had passed the first test, proving that human strength, intelligence, and mercy could withstand the scrutiny of an alien civilization. And somewhere deep in the shadows, the Queen observed still, her glowing eyes reflecting caution, curiosity, and an unspoken challenge. The galaxy had yet to see the full power of a human. The cave's silence did not last long. Ethan, still recovering from the trial, felt the ground tremble beneath his boots. The tiny alien women shifted nervously around him, their glowing bodies flickering rapidly, fear, confusion, and anticipation all at once. Lyra hovered close, her green glow steady, but even she seemed tense. "They are coming," she whispered. Ethan understood immediately. This was no ordinary threat. The energy signatures he had felt earlier were converging, larger, stronger. and faster than anything the colony had seen before. From the shadows above, a faint vibration grew into a roar that shook the cave walls. Ethan's instincts screamed at him. The predators were not small, like the hunters. These were something else entirely. Something immense, they are. Galactic hunters, Lyra said softly, almost to herself. They track energy like yours, human. They do not forgive. They do not hesitate. And they do not rest until their prey is destroyed. Ethan's pulse quickened. He had faced dangers before, but the raw presence of these hunters filled him with a mix of fear and excitement. Humans were made for survival, and now he understood why. He was a predator in his own right, different from them. Yes, but equally dangerous. The cave's entrance glowed faintly as shadows moved, larger than the opening itself. Rocks trembled, dust fell from the ceiling, and the tiny aliens shrieked in panic. They had never seen anything this massive approach their home. Their intelligence and agility had always been enough to protect them, but this was beyond their comprehension. Hide! One of the tiny hunters yelled, her body flashing bright red. They will kill us all. No, Lyra said calmly, moving in front of Ethan, not yet. Observe, learn, and survive. Ethan understood the strategy. Humans thrived on observation and adaptation. He scanned the shadows, noting shapes and movements. The hunters were enormous, with armored bodies and multiple limbs. Their eyes glowed like molten metal, and their energy signature pulsed with deadly precision. They expect you to panic, Lyra whispered. They believe humans will fear and fail. Do not let them.